sort of around them, watershed, a little far, other ones. But let's focus on local issues that these people could do something about when they get elected on November 15th. They could do something about on the 16th.
Thanks, Bruce. My name's Michael Powell. I live in West Sechelt. And we've heard a lot tonight about garnering funds from senior levels of government. If ever you needed to go back to the population to raise taxes or get further funding for infrastructure, how would you go about that? Would you raise taxes, or would you prefer a bond issue, or do you have some other idea of tackling that problem?
And I think this is a good one to bring the two mayoralty candidates. Darren, if you wanted to join the table at that end, and we've got some room for Cameron here. Can I start with one of you on other ways of raising funds for infrastructure, either municipal bonds or something other than just questions to senior governments? It's a tough fiscal issue, actually, and I'm not sure if the answer is ready at hand. May I start here and move on? It's a little hard for me just to question. None of them have had in advance, so we'll just see where they go.
Yeah, it's interesting. People come and they want more services, they want improvements, and sometimes, believe it or not, we don't have a choice. Sometimes we just have to go ahead, like with sewers, and say, we're going to proceed with the expansion, and the legislation's clear. Certain limits trigger certain actions and need your approvals. But I think on a day-to-day basis with the routine stuff, you don't want us bothering you. You want us doing it, and you want us not increasing your taxes, and that's what we've been doing.
Thank you, Cam. And this is a tough question to answer in 60 seconds, but I'm going to try and get you down to about 30 because there's 12 responses here. Have you given much thought of other ways of raising funds?
And with that, thank you, Bruce. Thank you. Our worst choice, obviously, we'll talk about the sewer because that's the big elephant in the room right now. We're all dancing around. Our worst choice is obviously self-funding, and I'm not even going to speculate on how that would be accomplished because it sounds like you're already somewhat more familiar with municipal bonds or whatever, and I would have to defer to municipal financial planning consultants and bring back obviously the least painful to my community. If we're unable to manage or accommodate future development within our sewer plan, say because this thing is the elephant in the room, right? A moratorium on future developments may be required because to make a long story short, I'm not going to vote for or approve anything, even if it involves increased funding, if that means you or I might not be able to flush our toilets. We come first. The people that live in this room deserve to have those answers before we start continuing to increase or approve growth that's only compounding the problem. You know, we've got to look after ourselves first. Lastly, I would say we should look to a plan that's already in place. We're looking at doing it in stages, identifying smaller grant applications that will receive approval at the provincial level. We already have one in, and I think that's the way we're going to probably have to solve it within our current fiscal budget structure. Thank you.
Thank you, Warren. And Wayne?
Thank you very much. I'd like to see denser housing with less demand on the services and technologies that don't tax our sewage system so much. I'd also like to maybe look at creating sustainable energy technologies which we can sell to the grid to raise money for our infrastructures. And I'd also like to see a high-tech, value-added green industrial base so that our tax base is increased and allows us to pay for these services. Thank you.
Thank you, Dwayne. And Stan.
Good question. It comes back to both the community and the council, the mayor, and all the consultants. We tried it in Davis Bay way back in the late 80s. The estimate came to $4 million, and then everybody was ready for a start date, start talking about that in the planning, and then another engineer came in and he said it would be over $6 million, and that's when it kind of died. But with foresight, it should have kept on, and then you would have had it then at $6 million. If you go at infrastructure for Davis Bay, Wilson Creek, and the airport and all that, it would cost about $18, $19 million. So we've got to be understanding of what we're doing. The Sechelt Indian Band has a sewer system at Port Stalish. Some areas could probably hook up to that if there was some kind of agreement with the regional board or something like that. So there's ways of doing things then eventually in 10 years or whatever time frame you have, it would be all be done. But if we were just going to think of Davis Bay, what's going to happen to Half Moon Bay? What's going to happen to West Sechelt? See, it starts all over again. Somebody already mentioned, the four governments got to get together.
Thank you, Stan. Alice, and it's about fiscal and financing for infrastructure.
Yes. Well, clearly you've asked the $64 question. Borrowed money has to be paid back. Bonds have to be retired, so there isn't really that much difference. But the thing is that other small towns are getting large grants for infrastructure, and we must not be applying for them right or on time.
We've not been very successful.
No, so we have to learn how to do that. It's either that or build a septic at some point, because we're almost there now.
Thank you.